Hello all, we thought we'd do another video for you today. This is using one of the new releases that we've just put on to Create and Craft TV. We're using the birthday cake stamp today. So we'll just flip this over so that we can get you a list and you can see what it is we're going to be using. So we've got the birthday cake stamp set, we've got the Encircle die. No, we haven't. We've got the Encircle stencil. We've got the clear colour pens, the Wink of Stella pens. We're going to be using Distress Oxides. We're also going to be using the crystal clear embossing powder, along with the Onyx Black VersaFine, and then obviously our sticky glue, which comes in two sizes. We've got the 120mm or we've got the 30mm. So we'll just pop over to the bigger screen, she says, hopefully. There we go. So you can see what we're going to be using. This is our one of our $7.99 sets. They're roughly 6x4 is the biggest section of the stamp. So that will give you an idea on our sizing. Then we have our Encircle stencil, which is an A5 stencil. We also have, as I said, our sticky glue in the two sizes. So 120mm and a 30mm bottle. Crystal clear embossing powder and Onyx Black VersaFine. I tend to do it this way around. I'll stamp with black and put clear on the top rather than use a black embossing powder, because then you don't get all the speckles all over your paper. Just pop these up here. Then we've got the clear colour pens in lots of different colours. I'm going to show you a few little tricks and tips with these. I just love them. They're so easy to use. They're a brush nib on a pen and can be watercoloured with. I'm going to be using a couple of Wink of Stella pens. Actually, they're Wink of Stella brushes. Now, when the Wink of Stella brushes arrive with you, this one's probably easier to show it you. Inside here, they have a little black band or maybe a white band. You need to remove that, re-screw this back on, and that pierces the channel in here, which allows the ink to travel through to the nib. So just so you know, when you get it home, don't panic that it's not coming out. Make sure you remove that band. We're also using the Distress Oxides, and the colours we're using today are Twisted Citron, Mermaid Lagoon, Mustard Seed, Picked Raspberry and Festive Berries. So my favourite go-to colours really, but I like things to be nice and bright when we're doing things on demos. Makes it easier for you to see. And also this fabulous board. This is the Make Art Station, and it's ideal for stencils. Now somebody's asked me via email whether it's just for stenciling. It's a magnetic board, so you can pretty much use it however you want. It's gridded. The only thing I don't use it for, I blend on it sometimes. The only thing I don't have it down for is when I'm cutting, because obviously I don't want to cut into all my grids and stuff and damage it. But it comes with a magnetic ruler and 4 really, really strong magnets. So that's what you get with this. Okay. So I'm going to get us started. Just going to pop these bits up the top out of my way for a moment. So our measurements today, hopefully I've written these down all right. We have an A4 sheet of paper, and we've just folded this straight in half and used a bone folder to put the crease in there. We have also got just a slightly larger than half size piece of white cardstock. The reason I've done it slightly larger will make sense in a few minutes. We're going to use that for the stenciling part of this card. We then have a black piece of card, and this piece is 5 3/8 by 7 3/4 inches. I'm sorry, I know they're really weird measurements. That is because an A4 sheet of paper doesn't fall into inches very easily. Then we have another piece of black cardstock, which is the layer for the topper, and this one is 4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. And then we've got a white piece which we're going to stamp our cake onto, which is 3 3/4 inches by 5.5. So it would layer sort of quarter of an inch all the way around. So that's the hardest bit done, giving you the measurements. Now I'm hoping we've got the measurements right for you this time. So we'll get started. So we're going to stamp out our cake first. In fact, just for the camera, I am going to slip this out of the way because it is clearer on the board than it on my mat than it is on my board for you to be able to see what we're doing. So we've got this is just a regular craft mat. So we're going to take our VersaFine Onyx, black onyx, ink the stamp up, lots and lots of little light taps. Now the VersaFine black onyx doesn't particularly like what I'm going to ask it to do, but it gives you the most crisp, clean image. So you have to pick the lesser of two evils. Lots of little light taps all over, just to put the ink onto your stamp. And then you're going to stamp your image out as centrally as possible without getting my head into the camera, and give that a push down. Never lift your hands off the acrylic block. Just give it, it's a big stamp, so give it a good old tap, make sure it's there, press it down hard. And then you're going to move your image, and then as quickly as possible straight on there with the crystal clear embossing powder, because it's a fast drying ink. They don't, technically they're not friends, as I say, but if you're nice to it, it'll do what you want it to do. So then you're just going to take your excess off, pop it in there. Don't give it a good old tap like I would normally tell you to do. Just shake your embossing powder on it, and just a light little tap will take your excess off. And then we're going to pop what's come off back into the pot. Hopefully better into the pot than I just did. It's quite a full pot, this one. I've had to go for a new pot because I'd run out of mine. It's probably this one and my white are my most used embossing powders. So I made a nice little mess there, so we'll put that on the floor. And then we're going to heat up this. Now I will heat from underneath with this one, purely because, as I said, the powder and the ink don't particularly like each other. So the power of a heat gun will quite often blow off some of your embossing powder if you go from the top. If you've got a dual speed heat gun, use it on the lower speed and you should be fine above. But I'm just going to do this underneath. A couple of things to know. Get your heat gun as hot as you can before you start, before you take it to your cardstock. It helps prevent the paper from warping. It will warp a little bit, but it will help. This heat gun's quite loud, so I'll say everything before I get started. So here we go. And hopefully you will see this change from a sort of looking grey to a shiny finish. And mind your fingers, it's really hot. Hopefully you will end up with a lovely stamped smooth image. And while it's still a bit warm, if it has warped, just give the paper a little bit of a wiggle and that will help it bring it back. So hopefully, oh, I've seen where I've missed a little bit on the side there. I think that's all of it now. Yeah, there we go. She says, and I think I might have missed another little bit. Need new glasses, peoples. No, we haven't missed it. That's just me and my glasses. So there we go. So we'll give that a little bit of a wiggle. As I said, it will warp slightly, but just massage it as much as you can to try and recover it as best you can. So we're then going to, we're going to go with the ink of Stella, the colouring first. So just bear with me 2 seconds. I was just about to drop everything. I needed to rescue it before it all went everywhere. So here we go. So as I said, these are they're called real brush because, let me find a piece of paper that I can show you one. Bear with me. Scrap paper. There's never any scrap paper when you need it. Oh, sorry, I'm stretching right over you there. This will do, so that I can push this down and spread it out so that you can see that it is actually a brush nib. Can you see that? It's actually a brush. So we are going to just literally colour straight over the top here really quickly. It will pull away from where the embossing powder is, so you don't have to worry about going over the lines or anything like that, which is fab. And we have got some colours on our website of these. We will be adding more, so don't panic if the colour isn't there that you're looking for. Keep an eye out, it will be coming. But they're just brilliant. You don't have to be beautiful at colouring it in. They work on watercolour papers too. You can watercolour and mix the two colours together. You can pop two different colours onto sort of a piece of acrylic or onto a paint palette and mix the two together and come up with another colour. Now I'm actually going to go to one of my Wink of Stella pens here, purely because I didn't have the green in these pens I wanted. So this is a Wink of Stella. You'll probably be able to pick up that it's got a little bit of a sparkle in it. Don't know if you will be able to do that from that far away, but I will show you that these have a little bit of a sparkle in the Wink of Stellas. I'm going to go for our blue. I'm terrible, I go really quiet when I start colouring, and I have to remind myself that I'm not supposed to be absolutely silent. I do that if you've ever seen us demonstrating at the shows. If I'm colouring anything at the shows, I'm in my own little world, which isn't really what demonstrations are about. I'm supposed to talk to you and tell you all about the products and answer any questions. So if anybody's got any questions on anything, feel free to pop comments in the boxes and we will do our best to come back with an answer. And then we are going to go with a bright yellow at the bottom. And then I'm going to just randomly, because I want to tie in all my colours together. What we used on there 4, haven't we? So. We'll see what this looks like when it's done, hey? It's got two choices, isn't it? I quite like these colours together. Hopefully you do. It's a nice bright coloured card. I'm big into doing bright things at the moment, in case you hadn't noticed. I do like the bright colour. Green up there. Or green, I prefer that one to be green. And then we're going to colour in our sprinkles on here as well now. Let's see. I quite like that one. Hopefully this is all coming together quite nicely for you all. And then should we do these multicoloured? Sorry, went over the lines there. Wasn't concentrating. Just trying to decide if I liked where I'd put the colours. Oh well, there we go. Now I'm just going to bring in, obviously we've got quite a lot of dark on here, so just literally randomly going over that. Now if I wanted to blend that, I would start with the darker colour and come down with it, but I just wanted it to pop out a little bit really. And then we're going to pop a flame on here. And I'm going to try something. It might not work. And if it doesn't work, it can't kill me. It's not the best paper to be doing this on, but you can go in and pull that colour down. So we go from being red to being orange-ish. Yeah, it has come through. There we go, does that make sense? Popped a little bit of red in the middle of the flame and then pulled it down with the yellow. So then you may have picked up on the camera there. Can we pick it up? I'll keep wiggling it until we do. Trying to show you that that green has got a sparkle to it. I think you can see that now. So all I'm going to do is, because obviously the green stands out that it's got a sparkle, I'm now going to take my clear Wink of Stella pen and go all over this. Just be a little bit careful because it can pick up some of the stronger colours on your pen. And you don't want to run your red into your orange when you do this because you'll get a red streak through the middle. Don't press too hard, I'm just literally wiping over the top of that. Yeah, I think that'll do. So as you can see, I took the red in the very tip here of our flame and pulled it through with the yellow. And then hopefully the camera will pick up the sparkle on this now. Just. My light's reflecting, so I'm hoping you've managed to pick up that that's sparkly now. And all that was the clear Wink of Stella over the top. Just seeing where we've missed a little bit of the yellow, and that's going to bug me when we put this together. So I'm going to make sure my cake's filled in. So that's the hardest part of today's event. Pop those off to one side. And as I tell you all the time, as I do each layer and build it up, I put it together because it makes my table have less products all over it. So here we go. I'm going to pop the glue on here. And I use a 300 GSM weight cardstock predominantly when I'm doing all my projects. It's a super smooth Anna Marie Designs. Oh, I did not want to do what I just did. I hadn't let it dry, had I? Oh well. You'll get the idea. You'll get the idea, peeps. You'll get the idea. That's just going to make it worse, so we're just going to leave it. If I don't hold it too close, you won't see, but I'll hold up my hands and show you what I've done. I put a great big streak all the way through there. So we will move on to the one I made earlier. How would that sound? Oh, it's all sticking to me now. So here's one I made earlier. So we'll stick that back on. And that's why I always have another one prepared. But I'll be cursing that later on. So there we go. And I'm just going to pop that off to one side for a moment. So we're now going to bring back in our station, which is our magnetic board for our stenciling. We've got the larger piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to pop my stencil over the top. And here's the hard bit to hold it in place. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's my stencil stuck down. How easy is that? So I'm going to take the blending tools. I did manage to just shove that then, didn't I? And just randomly with these colours go in wherever I want them to be. And I do mean completely random. be a bit stronger up there. I do try really hard not to just go in a particular circle, because otherwise I'd become OCD and I'd be going in and filling in every single circle as I was going along, and that would not be... I'd lose the will to live, I think, by the end of that. And I don't know about you, but I find one of the hardest things to do is go random. But I'm trying. A little bit of red. So this one's the Festive Berries. So we've so far used picked raspberry, twisted citron, and now we're on to Festive Berries. Now you'll notice just then I was getting very close to that stopper, that magnet. So I'm just going to move that over, fill in the bit I wanted. Now the choice is yours on this. I'm a bit OCD and I didn't want to get my any on the bottom of my magnet, so I'm just going to go in, wipe the excess that was on the stencil and pop that magnet back down. But you don't have to. Same up here. I might just move my stencil magnet over there, which will still hold everything in place. I'm just going to wipe off that excess. Again, as I said, you don't have to. You just make sure you wipe the bottom of your magnet afterwards to make sure that you haven't, it won't transfer onto anything else, because you'd be really miffed, wouldn't you, if you'd done all that hard work and then you'd gone back to it and you couldn't use it. So we've got some mustard seed. I don't know about you guys, but the mustard seed goes such a long way without having to re-ink it. And it's probably one of my best used ones. I use it all the time. It's not like it's a colour that we haven't used before. Brand new. And then we've got Mermaid Lagoon. Same thing with Mermaid Lagoon. I want to pop it in the corner there. Pop that back on there. And when you're doing this, it looks a bit like, that's not great. But you'll be surprised when you as soon as you take that stencil off, how different everything looks. I am a little bit wary of that red through there. It looks a bit, So I am just going to go back in with my red, because it's one of the stronger colours, so you can go, and with these being oxides, you can go over the top. And I'm just going to try and soften some of those lines around there a little bit. Maybe bring some up here to blend this in, and then move your magnets out of the way and lift your stencil off. How easy was that? So simple. No worrying about cleaning, you're taking your tape off and ripping any card or anything. It's just so easy to use. Then you're going to take your trimmer. My trimmer's huge, so sorry, I think I've just bashed the camera. Let's pop you back where you were. Other way. There we go. And I'm just going to trim the edges off right up in line with the edge of the stencil. And then we have our background. And again, I'm going to just pop that on there so that that's that out of the way as well. And by using the wet glue, you've got a little bit of wiggle room time to get this in position as to where you want it to be. And I have already put foam pads on the back of my card layer here. I'm going to whip those off. And you've probably seen me do this before, but it gives you that extra bit of time to stick things on and gives you a bit of wiggle room, because these foam pads are super sticky. We do have these on our website. They may be out of stock at the moment, but they are coming back in, so it depends when you're watching the video as to whether they're on our website at this moment in time or not, but they will be back in if they're not on there yet. So we're going to pop that up here, and I've done it further towards the top. Hopefully we're fairly in the middle there, because I've stamped the sentiment out. Now I'm not going to stamp it out to show you because it's just time, so I drop everything, time on the video. But one of the ways, obviously the words for this set are separate, so if you want them lined up together, again this board is brilliant for it. I pop my block level with the lines, and then I put my words onto the block level with another line, so we can make sure we've got them straight before we start. Makes life a whole lot easier. So all I've done is stamp it in black, crystal clear embossing powder over the top, just like you saw us do the cake right at the beginning. I'm going to take the excess of the backing off these foam pads again. A little bit. And then we're going to stick that down. So that's basically the card made. You've then got your card blank that you folded in half earlier. And we're going to stick that on there. And place that in the middle of your card. And there's your birthday card done. How easy is that? So that's using the birthday cake stamp. So we'll just run through what we've used again quickly so that you can see what we've used again. So we've used this station magnetic board for the stenciling, and as you saw me using it to line everything up. The little mess I've got going on the sides here. Let's move this all out of the way so we can do this properly. So we've got the birthday cake stamp, which is a £7.99 roughly 6x4 stamp. Then we have the stencil, A5 stencil called Encircle. We've also used the clean colour pens in a selection of different colours, reds, orange, pinks and blues, and the Wink of Stella pens in clear, and I actually used the green as well. We've used Distress Oxides in Festive Berries, Mermaid Lagoon, Mustard Seed, Twisted Citron and Picked Raspberry. We've used the crystal clear embossing powder. We have used, if I could find the lid I can show you, the Honeydew Craft sticky glue. Yeah, I think that's everything. So I thought I'd show you a few other samples we've done with the cake. You will have hopefully seen some of these on Create and Craft as well. So here we go. So this is using it in a pop-up box. And then this is using it on a tiny little C6 card. So basically it's the size of the topper that we've used. So you can see just how you can use them in any size card, 8x8 down to C6 card sizes. And then we have another one that's done in a C6 card size, and they've been masked off. So you've got like a rainbow effect. This one is chocolate cake. Who can resist a chocolate cake? Okay. Using the stars stencil on the background. Another chocolate one using the Encircle die, not the circle, the stencil, the die on this one. And the cake's been cut and layered on the top. And then finally we have another one which has got the stars stencil at the background, and then the words have been stamped all over the back to make it, to give it the background paper, coloured in pinks and blues, which I think looks really lovely. So another quick recap on what we have used today. So we've used the birthday cake stamp, the Encircle stencil, the clean colour pens and the Wink of Stella brush. I think that's everything you needed to know there. Oh, sorry, you've got my fingers right on the screen. Sorry about that. Let's take that one. I'm trying to get the products off for you so you can see me. There we go. That wasn't too difficult, was it? So hopefully you enjoyed that. I'll just pop the finished card back in there so that you can see what we've done. And hopefully you enjoyed that little demonstration. If anybody's got any questions, give us a shout, or if there's anything particular you would like to see, please let us know. Take care. Thanks. Bye.